E te au take I roto I te atanga tō tātou take Hans Smit, mi mariki mai, no tādei tuanga poto no tātou I te popongi. At this time, folks, CEO, President of Moana Minerals, Hans Smit, and yours truly this morning. Kia ora, good morning, Hans.
Good morning, William.
Thank you for taking the call this morning to have a chat and get some updates from you on what unfolded yesterday at that select committee in the Legislative Assembly of the USA. So could you share the love on that for our listeners this morning?
Yeah, William. It was it's a subcommittee that is part of the American Congress. And the purpose of this subcommittee is to review bills that have been presented by different Congress men and women in the interest of furthering, relationships and objectives of the United States. And at this particular hearing, there was one bill, HR 4018, which specifically deals with deep sea mining, and it deals with the U.S.'s objectives, roles, and ambitions as far as that is concerned. And this bill is there to codify the statements made by the executive order of the President of the United States, Donald Trump. And what that means is that his executive order instructs people what to do. The bill mandates it. So it takes what he's instructed people to do and ensures that it gets enforced. And in particular, this bill is very important for Moana Minerals and the Cook Islands insofar as it encourages and instructs the various departments within the U.S. government to address deep sea mining in a positive and constructive manner, and very specifically, it instructs these departments to ensure that relations with aligned states that are outside of the United States, therefore the Cook Islands, that relationships are developed, encouraged, and cemented. So for us, it was very important to be there and to reinforce that we support this bill, that it's important that it comes into being. And as soon as that is done, we will then follow up with the various agencies and ensure that the announcement made during the U.S. visit to the Cook Islands during the 60-year celebrations and the announcement of the of the cooperation, that this is followed through, that the various departments allocate funds, allocate resources, and continue helping the Cook Islands, learn more about their environment, grow capacity, and make sure that they're in a good, strong position to evaluate the DSM applications when the time's right and they are submitted.
Right, sure. Okay, so I note that you pitched the Cook Islands as a trusted partner, those, one of the few amongst the allied, I guess you can call it allied exclusive economic zone. How was that received in terms of your pitch on trusted partner to those that were at that meeting yesterday?
Well, I didn't really have to do any hard work there, William. The folks in America are very aware of the Cook Islands and its position, very aware of the relationship between the Cook Islands and New Zealand. And, back in 2023, President Biden recognized the Cook Islands officially, started establishing, diplomatic relations, and a couple of months ago, those relations were further reinforced, and the Cook Islands will be receiving aid from the U.S. in the form of a research vessel that will be there during October, doing a 21-day campaign in the Cook Islands, collecting data. There's a Coast Guard cutter that's coming in to assist with fisheries management.
Yeah.
So, these folks are aware that there's a good relationship between the Cook Islands and the United States, but they're also aware that relationships take work and they can't be one-sided, and they want to make sure that they bring their part to the relationship as well.
Yeah. So has this bill been fast-tracked?
Well, yes and no. This is work myself and the team in Washington, as well as other folks have been pushing. We've been doing this actively for must be 4 or 5 years, and it's taken a lot of talking, lobbying, informing people about the importance of the Cook Islands, the importance of what the Cook Islands has, the role it can play. What is really pleasing is to see that we are now starting to get traction. We're getting the recognition, and importantly, that people are understanding that rather than fast tracking, that they need to be diligent and ensure that all the effort is brought to bear to make sure that this is done thoroughly. Are people conscious of timing? Very much so. Are they trying to short circuit and circumvent? No. But by putting resources in place and manning up to do the work and doing the work expediently can help us achieve the objectives and the goals within the projected timeframes.
Okay. So I see one of the thinking in terms of this particular bill is to encourage investment in the sector, Hans, and also in particular in the seabed minerals development, and also to secure supply chain or supply of minerals like cobalt, nickel and manganese and the other rare earth minerals, and also to counter China's influence in the region. And these are amazing things that our people, I don't think, are aware of in terms of what's happening behind the scenes, the work that you've been doing. I noticed that the last time the Americans had some real presence here in the Cook Islands was in 1942 during World War II. And then before last month, the previous high-profile politician from the USA was in 2012 when Hillary Clinton came. So this is a big thing, I think, for the Cook Islands. What can our people expect of or from the USA, other than this industry that we're talking about?
Well, I think, William, the focus obviously has been brought to bear because of the polymetallic nodules and the potential that it has for the U.S. in being able to secure supply chains of these critical metals. And this is the opportunity for the Cook Islands in their unique position to take advantage of this. So this is the catalyst. But what we can expect over time is the majority of the direct involvement from the government, in my view, is going to be in assisting the Cook Islands to grow capacity and to create capability. And what I mean by that is, the research ship coming in is not doing work for the license holders. So, I think that's the first thing we need to clarify. This is not work being done for the license holders. This is work being done for the Cook Islands government and the Cook Islands people. So these folks will be coming in and they will be doing, in addition to what we've already done, more mapping, more data collecting, helping the Cook Islands better understand, the environment that surrounds the Cook Islands, the resources that you have there. It will also help you to be able to do disaster planning. It will help you do spatial planning and planning with regards to, global warming and the consequences, how to manage your resources. So they'll help collect the data, but they're also going to bring people in to help train up Cook Islanders and to create capacity in the Cook Islands, but the Cook Islands themselves can manage this process. So this is not about just, the old adage of giving people, feeding people. This is about teaching people to fish. And I think, this is really important. It's going to help the Cook Islands grow and stand on its own 2 feet and develop a capability and a capacity that you have been desiring and wanting for a long time, and they're going to be helpful in getting that in place. But they're also going to help you, in areas where you have deficiencies, where you need funding, you lack funding. They'll bring money to bear, and they'll help with infrastructure development. So I think that's what you can expect from them as we go forward. There are a couple other things that I've heard about. There's talk about working with airlines to reestablish some of the flights directly between the U.S. and the Cooks again, not having to go via Hawaii, keeping that in place, helping put infrastructure in place that is sorely needed.
Yep.
So that's the direct impact to the Cook Islands and the Cook Islands itself. The indirect impact is going to be providing a place where the polymetallic nodules can go, where those nodules can be produced into the metals and the product that the Americans need, and ensuring that the royalties and the revenue that are derived from that come back to the Cook Islands. What's the point of having something if you can't sell it to somebody? So they are going to help ensure that happens, but also very importantly, they're going to help raise the money to build the mining ships, to build the processing plants, which are, very expensive pieces of equipment that need to be funded and built. And what they will do is ensure that the financial assistance and the aid necessary to get those projects off the ground will be provided, and a lot of that will happen with the use of U.S. technology, because the U.S. has a lot of great subsea technology,
right?
And they have a lot of capacity for the processing plants. So, this is a great win-win story that we're talking about. Now, the geopolitical consequences of this, that is an additional benefit. At the moment, it's about how can we get these nodules so that they can get metals, the Cook Islands can get revenue, and we can build capacity and infrastructure in the Cook Islands to make sure that it's managed in a responsible manner by Cook Islanders on behalf of Cook Islanders.
Well, this is certainly amazing, and it's sort of interesting, some of the other thinking behind this particular bill and the implications for the USA and also for countries like the Cook Islands. And how the grassroots are involved in the thinking of Americans, like traditional leaders and so on. One of the things that blew me away yesterday watching the video was the sort of numbers you were providing to the committee. Are you able to rattle through those quickly? That you, because we've never seen it or heard it before.
You're referring to the economic numbers on the project, William?
What you presented to the committee yesterday. So,
one of the things we often hear from people who are detractors of the sector is the sector doesn't make money. And what we were making the point of yesterday was that the economics for this project definitely work. We are talking about a project that at its projected capacity of roughly 3.3 million dry tons of nodules produced per year, the revenue potential of this project is in the region of about $1.2 to $1.4 billion. And why that's important is because the Cook Islands will get royalties on that number. There's roughly 3% of the value of the nodules accrues to the Cook Islands. There's a profit, not a profit. There's a pre-tax gross profit of around $700 million per year, which once we have offset reinvestments and all the rest will produce a profit, and then we pay taxes like all other companies in the Cook Islands pay taxes on those profits. So that's more money that accrues to the Cook Islands. So this project has big value potential, contrary to what people are saying. And the reason it does that is because we are getting the equivalent metals that you would get from 4 or 5 different mines from 1 ton of rock, whereas in those mines you have to move 5 to 6 times the amount of rock to get the same metals, maybe even 10 times the amount of rock to get the same metals. We're moving much less volume to get the same revenue,
right.
And therefore the project does become economic. It does make money, and the contention that it doesn't is what we are working hard to have people understand and see that this does have economic potential.
Right. Okay. The other aspect that you mentioned yesterday, Hans, was the solution and a ship identified to carry out the physical mining Um,
Yeah.
so, what can you say any more than what you expressed to the committee yesterday on that solution?
William, the technology needed to do mining, we have. We have as our mining partner GSR, which is a joint venture between Transocean, one of our partners and investors, and Deme out of Belgium. So there is a mining solution with a design that is complete. Transocean have a fleet of vessels, and within that fleet, they've already identified the vessel that we would convert into the mining vessel. What we are waiting for is to pull the trigger on the funding. So we are working on getting the funding for this, and then we will convert the mining vessel, and then look at doing trials and tests with it if required, and then also having the mining vessel ready for when we either we or somebody else starts producing nodules under license. The mining vessel is ready to go, and we don't have to wait 2-3 years for it to be built and developed. I think what's really important, it's like with anything, when you're building a house, you don't wait until the house is built before you buy the windows. You buy them ahead of time so that when the window hole is ready, you can put it in.
Right.
We're doing the same thing. We are preparing and planning, getting everything ready so that by the time we hope we get the license, we are ready to move forward. If we don't get it, Transocean are of the opinion they'll just move it to another location and go and mine for the Japanese or in the Clarion-Clipperton zone. So it's not like we are being presumptuous that we will get the license in the Cook Islands.
Okay.
What we are is we believe we are confident that we'll make the case and that we have a good probability of getting the license. And what we want to do is make sure we're ready that should we get that license, we can move very quickly into production.
Right. Okay, well, that's all great news, I think, for the country, and it shows that, well, by the sounds of things, this has been a huge step forward for the exploration works that Moana Minerals has been doing, and it's advanced thinking in terms of the next stage. And I guess the legislation or the regulatory aspects need to be addressed. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think, the other thing I also want to also clarify and just share with everyone is that it's not just exploration. We can get a little caught up with the exploration and the science and not realize that there's a whole bunch of other stuff happening as well. So, the exploration is key, and it's driving the timeline because we need to make the case that we can harvest nodules without doing serious harm. So that is the primary focus. But in addition to that, we are working on the harvesting systems. We are working on, converting the rocks into sellable metal. We're making sure that the markets exist that we can sell those metals into and that we can get the revenue. We need to make sure that the people in the Cook Islands are aware of what we're doing, are kept informed and kept up to date, and that we communicate constantly and transparently with them. We also have to work and make sure that the regulatory process is not in jeopardy, that the resources and the knowledge and the people and the expertise needed to make sure that process is done thoroughly and completely and with great confidence, that all those structures and mechanisms are in place. So it's a very complex process comprised of a whole bunch of moving parts and not just environment. And I think that's something a lot of folk are not necessarily aware of, and it's something we've been spending time helping people understand the bigger picture as well.
Thank you once again for having a chat with me this morning. My 20 minutes is up, and it was great seeing you amongst others at that subcommittee meeting yesterday. Any final words?
Yeah, William, I think, I was really thrilled and privileged that I was able to attend that meeting, and that I was able to, speak about the Cook Islands and the project we have. I think it's a fabulous project, a fabulous opportunity, and, we continue working hard to make sure that we can get it done in a responsible manner and to the benefit of all. So I was grateful for that opportunity and pleased that that we have a positive outcome from that.
Thank you very much, Hans. You have a good day today.
Thank you, and the same to you all. Bye-bye.